At the time, I was making around $2,100 a month, and my monthly car payment with gas and insurance, not including repairs or random inspections, parking tickets, totaled up to $1,000. Welcome my people, my squad. I am your host Lillian, aka Lily Like the Flower, aka FIYAH and FIYAH Life on all social media platforms. And this is FIYAH Side Chat. FIYAH Side Chat is a show all about self-improvement, self-care, self-love, and all the not so cute moments and lessons in between to reach ultimate healing. How are you healing? So before we get this show started, please hit that subscribe button, that follow button wherever you are listening or watching. I truly appreciate you. And if you haven't already, join the FIYAH Squad newsletter at FIYAHlife.com. All of the information is in the description below. Now let's get started. So to kick things off of this very first episode of FIYAH Side Chat, I am going to discuss how I manifested my dream car, but also how I lost my dream car because it was repossessed twice, and basically my journey with money and finances from the tender age of 21 and how that's impacted me today. Okay, so I was 21 years old when I bought my dream car. You guys, prior to this, I was very fortunate and I did have a car, but it was stolen from right under my nose outside of my house. If you know, you know. My little Honda Prelude, poor thing, got stolen. I forgot to lock my club. Do you guys remember those club locks? But I still use them today because San Francisco, anyway, that's a whole different vlog. But basically my car was stolen. I would have still had that car today if it wasn't stolen. We ended up finding it in Richmond. The cops somehow found it, but it was just jacked up. I couldn't use it anymore. They stole my brand new sound system that I just installed with my hard-earned money, all $200 from Circuit City. Man, anyway, I was heartbroken. I was so heartbroken. So I was having to borrow my brother's car, and at the time we were both going to school and I was going to work, so I had to be at different places at different times than he was. So having to borrow the car, it just became an inconvenience, and I started taking the bus. Like, it was a whole thing. But I remember one day I was driving back from one of my extended lunch periods. Yes. And I remember driving on 280 back to my trying to speed as fast as I could in Shanita Cressida, which was the car that I was borrowing, aka the Toyota Cressida. So it was like a 1991 Toyota Cressida. But I'm like jamming in Shanita Cressida, and like all of a sudden I just see this black car just like jet by me. And I was like, what the heck was that? What was that? I have never seen a car that shape, that size, that speed in my life. What is it? I need to know. So I'm driving. I'm trying to like speed up to this car, and I finally catch up to it, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I need it. And I see it is a Dodge Charger with a Hemi. Like, it said Hemi across the trunk. So I'm just like, I can't wait to get to work, and not to work, but to get on the internets and find what this car is, what it's about, how much does it cost, because I need it in my life. ASAPido. So I'm back at the office, and I'm just like doing all the Googles, and I'm like printing out all the information I could possibly get on this car. I even build my own car online and print it out and like post it on my poster board, because it was just everything I had wanted in a car that I didn't know I needed. Because prior to that, I was just gonna buy a Toyota Solara. Do you guys remember those little two-door cars with the drop top? Like, I was about that Toyota life at this point, and it was inexpensive, and I could have still afforded to buy a home at this point, because I was 21 going on 22, and I was ready. I was working full time, still going to school, all of that. And I was like, you know what, it's time to like level up. Let me get a home, So in my mind, I'm like, I want a home or a car. A home or car. And I guess this is why they say not to have backup plans, because your main plan kind of gets the back seat and the backup plan. Anyway, you look that up. Look up that saying. So I remember driving Shanita Cressida all around and just, you know, thinking about like, what am I going to do? I even went to open houses. Considering I worked in real estate at a very young age, I'd been working in the industry for about a year at that point. I still didn't quite understand the financial part of it, or the fact that I needed money to buy a house. I had a couple $1,000s in savings, maybe $3,000 at that time. And that's a lot for a 21-year-old with, you know, for a 21-year-old me, that was a lot of money. I even went to open houses. But anyway, one day I was like super distracted on the road. I don't know what was going on that day or that morning, but it was chaotic. I'm pretty sure I was running late. Mad disrespectful, but I was probably running late. And I remember exiting off the exit to get to work, and then bam, I get into a car accident in Shanita Cressida. So I'm just like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? Now I don't have any car. Like, I'm out of a car, my brother's out of a car. I have to pay for this. Oh my God, it was a stressful time. So long story short, I end up just going with, I need to buy a car. So now I'm like full steam ahead. I'm like, I gotta get this charger. I gotta get this charger. So I make plans to go to a dealership one day, and I'm with my mom and I'm with my brother, and it's in San Jose. And mind you, I've had pictures of this car on my board at work. I brought home information home, just like everything I was all about. This is before I knew what manifestation, visualization, vision boards all was. Like, I was just like focused, like, this is what I'm gonna get. I'm no longer gonna get a house. I'm going to get a car. I didn't care about the price. I didn't care about nothing. I'm like, I have my little $2,000. I could take that, you know what I mean, to the bank and get me a car, right? Down payment, easy, just leave the dealership. So this is when I knew, this is when I should have known better, but I didn't, because I was so eager. You know, my eyes were just like, all I saw was just like me in this car, and that's all I could focus on. So we're on our way to the dealership, and my mom is lecturing the hell out of me. She's like, you are not going to buy a car. We are going there just to test them out, just to see, but we are not leaving that dealership with a car. Like, you are not ready. You are not ready. You are not ready. And I'm just like, okay. You know, I'm not trying to argue either, because I value my life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to get smacked up. I'm 21 years old, but I'm still, you know, low-key afraid of my mom. And at this point, I'm just like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna go. And I'm a little butthurt. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little hurt and just like disappointed, because in my mind, I was so set on just buying a car that I couldn't imagine a life not with it. So I'm just sitting in the back seat, like, you know, all annoyed. So we get to the dealership, and they have a line of cars ready for me to test out. We test them out, but they were the models either above the one I wanted or below, or they were not the color I wanted. It just, they weren't aligning with what I wanted. So I kind of took that as a sign of like, all right, not meant to be. My mom was right. I'm gonna bounce. We're gonna leave. And I almost settled and gave in to what they were trying to sell me, but I was like, nah, this isn't what I want. Like, this isn't the black RT. This isn't, you know, the sunroof. This isn't the Hemi engine. This isn't the 6-disc CD changer with navigation. I was so pumped about that, and heated seats. So it just wasn't what I wanted, and we were about to leave. We leave the dealership, and all of a sudden the dude helping me just runs out of nowhere. It's dark at this point. It's dark. We had been there for like maybe 3-4 hours. And he's like, I found another one. So I'm like looking at my mom, you know, I'm just like, let's go check it out. So like, we're walking to the other side of the dealership, and it's so dark, and I'm just like, I can't see. Can you pull it up? So he pulls it up to the front, and I'm just like looking at it like, oh my God. It's basically everything on my list, like everything. So I'm just getting all pumped. I'm pumped, and I'm just like, I'm getting it. Like, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was like, I'm set. I'm not leaving this dealership without this car. So this is the part where I was naive and oblivious and just not educated upon buying a car. I went in there with no credit established, $2,000 for a, before taxes, before fees, before all of that, before interest, for a $61,000 car. Yes, you heard that right. $61,000 for this car, before taxes, before fees, all of that. And I dropped my little $2,000 and I didn't go to the bank prior. That's all the money I had. So I had to rely on financing from the dealership, you guys. Mistake number one. So they're trying to approve me for this rate. I think it was 8%, which is super high. And they were struggling. So we spent maybe like an hour on just trying to get me approved for this 8% rate because they knew I wasn't going to leave the lot unless it was at that, unless it was locked in at that rate. And we had spent so much time together. So we are basically sitting there, they're making phone calls, and I don't know the ins and outs of car dealerships, but what I know now is that I won't ever do that again. Check out part 3 of this video of my lessons learned because it was a big lesson. So they finally get it all on paper that I was approved for this 8% rate. I'm signing on the dotted lines. I'm checking off all the boxes, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. They have my blood basically at this point. I relinquished my $2,000 that I had saved up in my bank and I'm out. We're out of here. We're out of here. So then now I have my dream car. You guys, it was amazing. I'm happy. I'm like feeling myself. And then fast forward a couple of days and my mom was like, so when are you gonna get car insurance? And I was like, I say what? A what? Car what? Do I need that now? And she's like, yes. So basically, I was grounded from driving my car that weekend because I didn't have car insurance. I'm surprised she even let me leave that lot. Anyway, so now I have my dream car and it was everything on my list. It was everything that I had on my board. It was beautiful. I was so happy. I had a working car. I had a nice car. It was a Hemi, Bose sound system, all of that. Like I was feeling myself. And this was during the hyphy movement when chargers were like the ish. Like if you didn't have a charger or a 300 or a scraper, like what was the point of driving? You know what I mean? So basically, first weekend, I'm grounded, right? Like I can't drive my car because I don't have car insurance. The following week, I managed to convince my mom that, you know, I'm gonna get car insurance and I'll work on it. That part alone was stressful because I knew nothing about that part of having a car. So, because at that point, my parents had just taken care of it because the cars they gave me were theirs. And anyway, so fast forward now, I'm at work. So now I'm at work and I get a call, but I don't pick it up. It was a 408 number. And then I'm like at work, I'm busy, I'm doing a bunch of things. And then I come back to just missed calls from this 408 number. So I eventually call them back and they're telling me that basically the loan that I was approved for, I no longer qualified for due to my lack of credit, which meant that I either accept new terms of the contract or relinquish the car back to the dealership and it's no longer mine, aka repossession, and I lose my deposit. I'm freaking out. Like I even went to my boss at the time who knew nothing about my personal life, who is just this owner of a company. He's a millionaire, you know, whatnot. So I was at a vulnerable moment and I was like, can they do this? Can they take the car from me? And this is before I even learned about like foreclosures of homes and things of that nature. And mind you, I'm working in real estate. So I'm like, can they do this with cars too? Yes, they can. So they tell me if I don't sign the new contract, they are gonna take that car back to San Jose today. Not tomorrow, not like I have no time to think about it. The guy helping me was already on the road on his way to my work. Yes, guys. They sent a salesman to my job ASAP. So I'm like panicking because I'm like, what do I don't know what to do. I think I called my parents. I don't know. I was feeling a lot of shame and just, I was scared, all of that. So he shows up to my work and we end up meeting at the Starbucks downstairs. And I remember just everything feeling so dark and gloomy because I was just like, I can't give up my car. And then I lose my $2,000. Like, how much different is the car payment going to be? So at this point, the rate was an 8% interest rate, but then he came back with I think 8.75. So my payment went from, I think, a little bit under 500 to 624.58, if I remember correctly, because I know it was 624, but the change was either 56 or 58. And I am saying that because I remember every month making that payment being like, this hurts. This hurts. Because at the time, I was making $2,100 a month. And not including, well, I was making $2,100 a month with my car payment, car insurance, and gas. Because mind you, it's a Hemi engine. My payment a month added up to almost $1,000, if not more, if you count random repairs, parking tickets, inspections, my tinted windows, my car washes, detailing. I was paying bank, making $2,100 a month. What was I thinking, you guys? Like, financial literacy was not a concept. So basically, I signed the contract and I'm like, F it, I'm just gonna take this car and deal with the payments. Like, I make enough, I have low expenses, I'll make it work. Like, my pride would not let them take that car back. Like, how embarrassing and shameful would that have been? Like, I already told the world, like, look at me. So I took the car. That should have been sign number 2, that things weren't going to be as great moving forward. So I signed the new contract, new rate, whatever. Now I'm the owner of this new car debt. Because I'm not the owner yet. You're not an owner of a vehicle or a home until that debt is paid off, you guys. Let's be honest with ourselves. Like, it's a blessing, and the opportunity and the privilege to be able to buy a car is a blessing. Don't get me wrong. But at this point, I'm just the owner of Bank of America's money debt. I am in debt to Bank of America at this point because they were the only ones that would lend me money at that point at such a high rate. So anyway, now